All right, guys, Joe at Colab Garage. We're here diving into the twin turbo R8 project from Boost Logic. We're going to do this in several different smaller videos. I know that first unboxing video, if you haven't watched it, it's going to be up in that corner or that corner. I can't remember which way the card goes, but that was 36 minutes long of us unboxing this entire kit. So it's a gigantic kit. It's got all kinds of parts. So if you haven't watched that and you're curious what comes in the kit, watch that first and then come back to this video. We're going to start at the front of the car and work our way to the back. So in this video, what you're going to see us do is we're going to take the front of the car up. The bonnet's going to come up, the bumper's going to come off, all the little plastic shrouds and everything, so we can install the front portion of the kit, which we have laid out over here on the table. This kit, like we said before, comes with the ice box. Some kits are optioned without this, and then there'll be a reservoir tank and the pump that lives in the back engine bay. I'll just be honest with you guys, most people are going to go with the ice tank solution, because if you want to go fast, you're going to put ice in that thing when you go to the track. So the ice tank, and then the custom-made heat exchangers that we showed in the first video. There's a left and a right, and then the Pierberg pump that we talked about gets mounted to the tank. And then we have all the fittings, and what's not pictured here is all the hoses and whatnot. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to jump into a little bit of time lapse, so you don't get bored to death with watching us take this thing apart, and then we'll make some periodic breaks throughout the video to kind of explain to you what we're doing. All right, guys, so that's a pretty involved process to get the front of the car taken apart. And as you can see here, we had to take a lot of it apart. So you take basically the under trays, the top sections off, front bumper off, and then you got to pull this whole tray assembly out. Now, because of what we're doing on this particular car, we're going to add fire suppression, and we're also adding the T1 fuel system to this build. This is going to be beneficial for us to do a lot of this work all at the same time. So we might sprinkle a little bit of that in here on top of just the Boost Logic Turbo Kit install. But what you're going to see next is each heat exchanger going on each side of the car. We're going to route the hoses for that, and then we're going to start working on mounting the ice box. All right, guys, so the time lapse showed Angel routing all the hoses, so you can kind of see this one routes from this side across the top and over. And then you have one that's kind of tucked back in there that you can't see. And then they're routed around to here, to where we're going to integrate that into the ice box once we get this portion of it done. But one thing we wanted to show, not on the time lapse, this is kind of a cool idea. This is a little bit more OEM-ish, I would say. These are heat shrinkable clamps from Gates that Boost Logic includes. I think we talked about that in the unboxing video. But all you do is put a heat gun on that, and it shrinks down and clamps onto the hose, so you never have to worry about that loosening up. So I'm going to kind of just show you guys what that does. So I'm putting this piece of aluminum here to keep the heat away from, melting anything while I'm shrinking that on there. And then you just simply heat that up with the heat gun. And our method has been to get this side and then rotate it around. So that way I don't have to worry about getting that side shrunk on the back side. And I'll put my heat shield back. Make sure I have that right up against the bead, like so. And I'll finish shrinking it. And now that's on there, you can see it's kind of pinching down on the hose. You have a leak-free seal, so you don't ever have to worry about your heat exchangers leaking water at the front of the car because you have a worm gear clamp that came loose or a pinch clamp or anything like that. So we'll jump back into the time lapse. We'll show you guys how we're going to integrate the icebox into the frunk. All right, guys, so we're pretty much ready to wrap this one up. Angel spent the better part of today getting most of all of the hoses ran for the intercooler system. So I think we talked about it a little bit already. He was able to trim up all of the air guides and make it so there's just enough room for this to still work and seal to the bumper so we get great overflow over the heat exchangers. And you can kind of see how this was ran. I don't know if you'll be able to get in there to be able to see that where that hose crosses over and then onto this side. So it's all tucked in there nice, so the bumper, when the bumper goes on, it's all going to be basically pretty concealed. And then here in the frunk area, the ice tank was mounted, so there's a lot of steps to doing that properly. You have to get these hoses cut just right, because if you put all this on there, the hoses will tend to bind up or kink or get it off at a slight angle. So spent a lot of time there. Also made sure the drain lined up perfectly. So there's a hole that just went straight down, so everything's perfectly in line. And then we also spent quite a bit of time here just to make sure that these hoses are level and even and everything lines up perfectly. On the back side there, then there's just the bulkheads that go to, I don't know if you'll be able to see that through the back side here, where the fittings go around and takes care of that. So we'll put the car up in the air real quick and we'll show you how the hoses were ran underneath the car, and we'll wrap this video up. All right, so we're under the car. Just going to show you how all the hoses got routed on the bottom of the car, so you guys have an idea of where this stuff goes. It's a little bit hard to see. So from the intercooler core to the back goes to this lower hose on the heat exchanger, comes up over here, routes up and over some stuff, and then runs alongside the differential. And everything's nice and zip tied up. And then right about here, we deviate the lines. One goes above the drive shaft, one goes below the drive shaft. So we're keeping everything nice and far away. And then they reunite back over here just to the side, and then routes off and back to the intercooler cores. All right, so we're going to wrap up this video here. The only thing left on the frunk for the turbo kit is the wiring. We'll do a little bit of a highlight on the wiring in a separate video. So in the next video, you're going to see us probably move this car off the lift and then we will start tearing apart the interior. We'll start running the fuel system, power wires and control wires through the inside. We'll likely start looking at mounting the roll cage and some other things that are supplemental to the turbo kit. And then in the video after that, we'll finally start diving into the actual turbo kit installation in the engine bay. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys on the next video.